A mysterious geomagnetic storm has brought your plane crashing down into the northern Canadian wilderness. How long can you survive? No list of things to be done. The day providential to itself. The hour, there is no later, this is later. All things of grace and beauty such that one holds them to one's heart have a common provenance in pain, their birth in grief and ashes. Cormac McCarthy, The Road. Hello Mom and the other 5 people that watch my videos. This is my second gameplay video of a game called The Long Dark. It's an early access game on Steam. It still has features being implemented. The story mode is not yet working, but there's 2 different levels that work with the sandbox mode. And it's basically a game where you have to fight against the elements and survive. And there's animals. You have to manage your hunger, your calorie count. So had I known I was going to have such an interesting recording of this gameplay, I would have picked probably the hardest difficulty, or at least the second hardest at least. But this video started off as a test for the recording, and it ended up being a really interesting playthrough. So I did start it in peaceful mode, but I think you'll still find it interesting. It does get pretty long, so there is some parts you might want to skip, but I'm going to try to narrate it through the whole time and kind of let you know what I was going through, because if you're not playing the game yourself, it's not as exciting, but it could be a really anxiety-inducing game. It's really it's a really great game. It's very suspenseful, but subtly at times. It's just very subtle. Okay. So this is the first time I played this level. I believe it's called the Frozen Lake. So yeah, I clicked on peaceful mode just to test out the quality of the recording, and it ended up being pretty decent recordings. There's a few times where I almost died throughout this whole thing, and it's just been a very, very cool journey. It's my first time ever playing the level, and one of my first times playing the game. So right now I'm just trying to find the actual frozen lake that the level is named after. And as you can see, my character is actually starting to freeze. So I pulled out a match and ducked down behind some trees occasionally to kind of stay warm. And staying lower usually helps you stay warm. So that's what I was trying to do there. Just making my way up the hill again. I had no idea where I was going, so it took me a while to get somewhere meaningful. And down there, that's when I spotted that little lifeguard house in front of the lake. And little did I know there was cabins and houses just about a mile or 2 away from here, but I thought this was the best place to set up camp, and I ended up returning there maybe once. So it was a bad decision that I made to put my sleeping bag here, but I did at least find a couple good resources.
I'll take it.
So the hatchet can be used for opening cans of food and chopping down trees more efficiently. So that's basically all I got from the beginning. So now it was time to kind of examine my surroundings, make sure I find some more resources for later on when I get hungry and thirsty. One thing about this game is that you can't stay in the same spot forever, you have to keep moving, find more shelter, more supplies, and you could come back to the same spot, but you usually travel so far to find supplies that you actually find probably a better shelter. So that's what usually happened to me. You definitely can't stay in the same spots if you're playing on the harder difficulties, because there's wolves that travel and they will get you very quickly, and just the elements are hard enough to fight without the animals. So you'll see even on peaceful mode how difficult it could be to survive sometimes. So I just looted a body, and now I was harvesting the meat from this deer, and you actually have to cook it on a fire to avoid getting food poisoning, I guess, or sickness or something. But you'll see later on that I never actually got to cook it. I had to eat it raw, so that's interesting. So you have to gather a few ingredients in order to be able to make a fire, and obviously you're going to need wood. So I started foraging for wood now, though it took me a very long time to be able to make a fire in this one playthrough. As you'll see, the time sort of elapses, like when you sleep or when you harvest meat, it does that, and it shows you how many calories you burn doing each task. Here I was just looking at the condition of my clothing and everything, and you could actually harvest raw materials from your clothing and even repair other pieces of clothing. So everything is it's all based around survival, and even the littlest things can really help you out. At this point, I was just learning about repairing clothing and all that. So this next minute is a little bit boring, so you could feel free to skip ahead of that. In this first video, I'm not going to use any sort of editing on the video, just very minimal. I don't want to skip any parts, so I'm relying on feedback. If people want me to edit out the long parts that are boring or fast forward it, something like that, then I'll go ahead and do that. I think it's actually a good idea, but I'm not sure. So if you'd like me to do that, let me know. Like I mentioned earlier, you can't stay in the same spot forever, and I really didn't have to move at this point, but I mean, it's a game and you just want to explore, you know, you want to have fun, so that's what I was doing. I wanted to kind of go on an adventure, find a better shelter, see what else was there in this world. And these worlds are like, I believe, like 100 kilometers big, something like that. They're pretty big environments, so I had a lot to explore. And you don't have a map, but I sort of have a mental map after playing on this level for quite a while, and that's really important, especially when the blizzards come. You have to have an idea of where you are if you ever want to get back safely. And right here is when I found what I pretty much consider my house in this level, in this playthrough, up to a very later point. This cabin was just in a really nice location, and I used it for quite a while. I was really relieved when I found it, actually, and a little bit creeped out.
I think I can use this.
That's the end of my first video, so thanks for watching, all 5 of you, all 6 of you even. I'd really appreciate a comment about the length of the video, the editing, or something, just to make it more interesting. Let me know how I can do that. I never made a video like this before, so just some feedback would be nice. Thanks for watching. That's the end of part 1, and I have a lot more parts to upload, so I'm going to upload it whether anyone watches or not, just because I want to, and I need to free up space on my computer. So yeah, goodbye.